Chapter 1. The Sting of Words. The room went quiet, like the air itself was holding its breath. My best friend Sarah stood in the middle of my living room, her eyes cold as she held up her phone. "You're nothing, Emma," she said, her voice sharp, cutting through the chatter of my 40th birthday party. "You think selling cupcakes makes you special? Jake's tech startup is changing the world." My husband, Tom, smirked, raising his glass. "Time you faced it, Emma. You're just background noise." The crowd, our friends, our neighbors, froze, their eyes darting between us. I didn't speak. I just turned, grabbed my coat, and walked out. 30 minutes later, my phone lit up. 27 missed calls. The party was supposed to be small, just close friends at our cozy suburban home. I'd spent all day baking, decorating my famous chocolate cupcakes with little sugar flowers. Tom had insisted on inviting his new work friends, people I barely knew, all polished and loud. I felt out of place, stirring punch in the kitchen when Sarah's words hit like a slap. She'd been my friend since college, the one who held my hand when my mom passed, who laughed with me over cheap wine. Now she stood there, mocking me in front of everyone. And Tom, he didn't defend me. He piled on, his eyes gleaming with something cruel. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just left, my heart pounding like a drum in my chest. As I sat in my car, parked under a flickering streetlight, my phone buzzed again. Sarah, Tom, unknown numbers. I didn't answer. I smiled instead because I knew one thing. They'd regret every word.
Chapter 2. The Silence I Chose. I turned off my phone. Their calls, their texts, they were just static now. I didn't want to hear their excuses. That night, I slept in my car, parked outside a 24-hour coffee shop, the neon sign buzzing softly. It wasn't comfortable, but it felt free. The next morning, I drove to a quiet diner, the kind with cracked vinyl seats and endless coffee refills. I sat in a corner booth, sipping black coffee, my mind racing. How did I get here? Tom and I met 15 years ago, young and broke, dreaming of a simple life. I'd bake, he'd code, and we'd build something together. I supported him through late nights, coding boot camps, his first failed app. I never complained. But now, he was calling me noise. Sarah was worse. She'd been my rock, my confidant. When I started my cupcake business, she cheered me on, even designed my logo. But somewhere along the way, her smiles turned sharp, her words bitter. I opened my laptop, connected to the diner's Wi-Fi, and started digging. Not for revenge. Not yet. For answers. I searched for lawyers, financial advisors, even a private investigator named Mia, who specialized in discreet uncoverings. I wasn't going to beg or shout. I was going to wait, let them think they'd won, let Sarah flaunt her new friendship with Tom's tech bros, let Tom parade his shiny startup life. They'd get comfortable. And then I'd pull the rug out.
If you're gripped by this tale of betrayal and suspense, hit that subscribe button for tears and traps. More heart-pounding stories are coming your way. Belle. Chapter 3. Cracks in Their Castle. 3 weeks passed. I stayed silent, invisible. Tom probably thought I was sulking in some cheap motel. Sarah probably assumed I'd come crawling back, begging for her friendship. They were wrong. I'd hired Mia, the investigator, who moved like a shadow. Within days, she had dirt. Tom's startup built on lies. He'd been fudging numbers, inflating user stats to impress investors. And Sarah? She wasn't just my backstabbing friend. She was Tom's side piece, sneaking around behind my back for months. Photos. Mia had photos. Late night meetups, cozy dinners, even a hotel receipt. But that wasn't all. Tom's startup was bleeding money, propped up by shady loans. And Sarah, desperate to keep up her influencer vibe, was racking up debt on my credit cards I still controlled. I didn't confront them. Instead, I sent Mia's findings to a financial auditor, anonymously, with a tip to a local tech blogger. I also froze our joint accounts, then unfroze them just long enough for Tom and Sarah to splurge at a fancy rooftop bar. When the bill came, their cards were declined. A viral video caught Sarah screaming, "This is Emma's fault," as Tom stormed out. The internet ate it up. I smiled from my new apartment, a tiny studio I'd rented with my cupcake earnings. Their perfect world was crumbling, and I was just getting started.
Chapter 4. Their world falls apart. Tom loved being the golden boy, the tech genius everyone admired. Sarah thrived on her curated Instagram life, all perfect filters and fake smiles. But now, they were unraveling. The auditor's report hit the news. Tech startup under investigation for fraud. Tom's face was plastered across blogs, his smug grin gone. Sarah's influencer gigs dried up when brands saw her name tied to the scandal. I'd sent Mia's photos to Tom's investors, anonymously, of course. They didn't like their CEO sneaking around with an employee's wife. Then came the real blow. I'd filed for divorce, quietly, and my lawyer had frozen Tom's access to our joint assets. When Sarah tried to buy a designer bag with my card, the cashier laughed. "Declined," she said, loud enough for the line to hear. Sarah's humiliation went viral. A TikTok captioned, "Influencer's epic meltdown." Meanwhile, I was rebuilding. My cupcake business was booming, thanks to a local food blogger who loved my story. Customers lined up, calling me the comeback queen. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. Their lies were catching up, and I was watching from the sidelines, sipping coffee in my cozy new life. Chapter 5. The Final Blow. Sarah stood in the empty house we'd once shared. The walls bare, the furniture gone. I'd sold it all, legally, to cover Tom's debts. She clutched her phone, scrolling through a viral video. Wife's betrayal backfires in epic revenge. It had 2 million views. Clips of Sarah's outburst, Tom's shady deals, even my cupcakes in the background of a news segment. The comments were brutal. She got what she deserved. Emma's the real boss. Sarah's hands shook, tears streaming down her face. Tom had bailed, his startup bankrupt, his reputation in ruins. I walked into the house one last time, holding a small box. Inside was the friendship bracelet Sarah gave me in college, now tarnished and worn. "This is yours," I said, setting it on the table. Her eyes widened, confused. "You said I was nothing. Now you're the one left with nothing." I turned to leave, pausing at the door. "Enjoy your spotlight, Sarah." I didn't look back. Outside, the air was crisp, clean. I was free. A year later, I stood in my new bakery, the smell of fresh cupcakes filling the air. Sarah was working retail, her influencer dreams dead. Tom was couch surfing, his tech empire a memory. I'd rebuilt my life, stronger, brighter. And I never answered their calls, not once.
The sun rose over my bakery, golden light spilling through the windows. I stood behind the counter, arranging cupcakes, each one a little piece of my heart. Customers smiled, kids pointed at the sugar flowers, and my new assistant, a sweet college kid, hummed as she worked. I'd done it. I'd built this from the ashes of betrayal. No noise, no chaos, just peace. My phone buzzed. A message from Sarah. "I'm sorry, Emma. I was wrong." I didn't reply. Maybe I would someday. Maybe not. For now, I was free. I stepped outside, coffee in hand, and looked at the sign above my shop. Emma's Sweet Escape. A photo hung on the wall inside. Me smiling with my new best friend, Lila, who never judged my flour-dusted hands. The world thought I was broken, but I was whole. I wasn't background noise. I was the melody. What would you have done? Drop your thoughts in the comments, like this story, and share it with someone who needs a spark of justice. And don't forget to subscribe to Tears and Traps for more tales of heartbreak and triumph. Bing!